the NPP Congress, which is going to happen again this year, first in August and next in December. Now, there are 10 candidates that have emerged from the process. That means candidates who have filed their interest in the nomination, they have been interviewed by the party, and they have been cleared by the party to be able to contest the process. However, at the end of the process, because there were 10 candidates, the party's laws, rules, and regulations require that there is a mini Congress that is set up with a few of the people voting. Now, I didn't get the slide on the voter profile of the NPP Congress, but I'll get it for you. I'll talk about it. I just don't have a graphics depiction of it, but I'll talk about it. So the general voter population of the NPP voting population is about 200,000 people. Sometimes there's always a between because some people don't show up and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a fixed list of voters, and there's a variable list of voters. Former ministers have votes, they have to register their votes, etc., etc. Former President Kufuor has a vote, he has to exercise it, he may or may not exercise it, all of that. However, the fixed are the members of parliament of the party, ministers and deputy ministers of the party. That's whilst they are in power. The president of the republic, the vice president of the republic, then regional executives, all polling station executives, and there are 38,000 polling stations, and that's where the number gets to that 200,000. So that's the big number that's going to elect. Very similar to the NDC anyway. But the special delegates votes, which is going to occur in August, it's not all the 200,000. It's about 1,000 people, all members of parliament, all regional executives, I believe, ministers of states, ministers, not deputy ministers, as opposed to deputy ministers, ministers appointed under Article 78, if you like, as opposed to ministers appointed under Article 79. So ministers, properly so-called, will be voting as well. And then the National Council, Council of Elders, former president, and a group of people. They are numbering just a little under 1,000 from what we are told. Now, they are going to elect the 5 to go into the main contest for the bigger 200,000 to decide on who becomes the flag bearer of the party. So the 10 are going to be presented to these super delegates, as they've been called, and they are going to elect the 5. So they're going to take a ballot sheet and elect Alan Kyerematen. Another person takes a ballot sheet, elects Dr. Bawumia. Somebody takes a ballot sheet, elects Agyapong. So the counting is going to how many does Alan Kyerematen have. So in that order, Bawumia is second or first, Alan is second or first, Agyapong is second or first. They'll count it and they'll announce it to us. There was a small dispute as to how this should occur, whether or not it should occur in the same place or it should occur in separate regions. All 16 regions should do their own voting. The cheaper one, the party believed, was that it should happen across 16 regions. So that's what's going to happen. So we're also going to receive results with another column. We're going to receive the winner, the region, the second, the third, the first 5. So we're going to know that Ashanti region was won by this person. Eastern region was won by this person. Northern region was won by this person. Never mind that it is a superdelegates and it's lower than the electoral college, but we'll analyze it. Will it send a signal? Will it not? Okay, now let's get to the touch screen straight away and look at them. So number 1, and we have put it in the order of the ballot boxes. What I'm going to do tonight is to pick the person and give you preliminary strength and weaknesses. Then we will go to our top 5, who we think are top 5 as a result of the preliminary strength and weaknesses, and then we'll show you some 2 videos at the end of the day. After that, then Al-Hassan Bello will come with the Niger story. All right, so ballot, first person on the ballot, Kennedy Agyapong, whom I met last weekend in a nice place. We had a nice conversation. Kennedy Agyapong is number 1 on the ballot. Alan Kyerematen is number 2 on the ballot. Joseph Ghartey, former Attorney General, is number 3. Kwadwo Poku, the outsider, is number 4. Usu-Efri Akoto, the dark horse, is number 5. Kwabena J. Agyapong, the former General Secretary, number 6. Adainimo, the perennial contestant in this flag bearership, number 7. Kofi Kuno-Addo Apreku, a very old horse, number 8. Boakye Chaku, very articulate and former Minister for Energy, number 9. And the obvious front runner, Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia, number 10. Okay, so let's start with Kennedy Agyapong. What are his strengths and what are his weaknesses? In postulating this strength and weaknesses analysis, we are going to be looking at 2024 as the denominator of the conversation. So 2024 is a denominator for all. So when we pick a strength for somebody, we are looking at the strength in relation to 2024, vis-a-vis 2024, not general strength as a politician. I hope we are clear on that. So if we say Kennedy Agyapong is good or he's bad, it is in direct relation to 2024 only. That means that we can analyze and say Agyapong is good for 2024, but he's not good for 2016. Something like that. Okay. So here is Agyapong. What are his strengths? Okay. Generally, as a politician, his strength is that he's no nonsense, he speaks the truth, and by and large, people believe he's not corrupt. By and large, people believe he's not corrupt. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. Whether he's a good man or a bad man, I don't know. We're just analyzing it. So people believe he's not corrupt, so he scores high on anti-corruption, corruption. People believe he speaks the truth. People believe that he's direct, he's forceful. And people also believe that he loves the poor. People generally believe that he loves the poor. So that's what works for him. So that's what gives him the domino effect, the rally effect, the sound bite effect. He has all of that. Okay. In relation to 2024, the NPP is looking for a third term. Okay. Then comes his weaknesses. Whatever he is an NPP person. His capacity to draw votes outside the NPP for 2024 would be lopsided. For 2024. It won't be the same for 2020. That is, I'm analyzing his capacity to draw votes outside the NPP. That is, people who are not NPP supporters. Because NPP in 2024 is the endangered species. They are looking for a third term. That's very, very difficult. So they have, as I told you, the story Kwame Pepra told me at the Kumasi airport, they have offended too many people between some is genuine, some is not genuine. You've done a road, you've broken the places where I live in Teshi, they broke down people's things to do the road, they are not happy with it, All of those governmental excesses, that is the incumbency deficit, is running against the NPP. So in NPP itself, their own supporters, they are hoping that they can get their own supporters to turn up and vote. When you're looking for a third term, it's always the same. What is the guarantee that somebody who is normally not MPP would elect candidate Agyapong, who is MPP, because he loves the poor, because he does? No. It's unlikely. That person will elect his John Mahama, he will elect his person. He likes candidate Agyapong, but there's not the time for MPP to get a third term. Why? That's how he will think. He's not going to. He's unlikely to elect anybody from the NPP. Okay. So the issue then is, what is his capacity for the purpose of 2024 to draw votes outside the NPP? Does the NPP need to draw votes outside their party? Yes, they do. Both they and NDC. But especially the one looking for a third term, he needs to be drawing significant votes. He needs to be changing the electoral map. It's the NPP that needs to be changing the electoral map. Is that significant? That's number one. Number two, the NPP must hold their base in the election, wherever their base is. If their base is Kwadraso Pankro, they have to hold it, and hold it, I call it unanimously. I hope you understand that. They have to hold it and hold it unanimously. Is candidate Agyapong the person to galvanize the base of the party? To some extent, you can say yes. Some people may argue with that, but some may say yes. So, just so that I sit from him, these are his strengths and his weaknesses. Do we think that he will be in the 5? Our straightforward answer is yes. Are there people who are thinking about him and thinking that he's problematic, so he shouldn't be in the 5? Yes, there are. Yes. There are very serious people out there who are thinking that this guy is a problem. Why do you want him in the 5? He's going to say that. Yes, there are those people. Are they maneuvering to try and campaign against? Yes, they are. Will he survive that campaign? Maybe. I don't know. But do we put him in the 5? Yes, we certainly do. Candidate Agyapong, strengths and weaknesses, correct. He'll be in the 5. Okay. Alan Kyerematen. Very interesting. Alan Kyerematen has similar strengths with candidate Agyapong. Likability across board. That's correct. People like Alan Kyerematen. Nobody can change that. And I like Alan Kyerematen. His experience with government counts for something. He's been experienced. His longevity in government without any corruption scandal, he also passes the corruption test. Clearly, he passes it. He's been long in government, no corruption scandal. The small issues about Alan, some people, you see, every political party has the hawks and they have the doves. The hawks of the NPP think that he's not fighting enough, he's not shouting on John Mahama enough, he's not shaking the NDC. That's how the hawks see him. Do the hawks have a role to play in the party? Yes, they do. Do they run the base of the party? Sometimes they do. So, Alan Kyerematen's profile is not very satisfactory to the hawks of the NPP. They think he should be punching a bit harder, and that he has had the opportunity for so long, he never punches. He should go out there and deal with it the way they know historically how people have dealt with it. Okay. let's come to Alan Kyerematen's general wide public popularities. That's true. He has a wide sort of spread of people who like him. Many people like him. With respect to 2024, will that translate into people voting for him? The like they have for him, will it cascade into a vote for him by a non-NPP person, but who likes Alan and who has John Mahama to vote for? And if he votes for Alan, he's giving the NPP a third term, breaking the 8? My answer is no. So the incumbency deficit is hurting Alan in terms of what are his weaknesses. The incumbency deficit is stuck against him. People like him, but can there be a compelling reason why NDC person will elect Alan Kyerematen instead of John Mahama for NPP's third term? I don't know. Do we put him in the 5? Yes, we certainly do. Alan Kyerematen is in the 5. Joe Ghartey. Okay. Well, what are his strengths and weaknesses? Joe Ghartey is an NPP man. He's been Attorney General. He's credited for fighting the drug battle when he was Attorney General. People know about that. He became Railway Minister. One of Joe Ghartey's issues is the parliamentary vote that turned out in 2020 in an NPP stronghold. The votes appear to have whittled completely away into the ballot box of Grace Ayinsu, the NDC candidate. And that was shocking for many people. For me, it was surprising. For many people who had thought of a known Joe Ghartey as being very popular among the Sikado people, Joe Ghartey is completely popular. Joe Ghartey is the one we usually will say that on election day, if one person could run 2 constituencies, we'll put Joe Ghartey in Korle Klottey and also put Joe Ghartey in the Sikado. He'll win both. And it is true. If you know how Joe Ghartey used to work with Accra House of Folk supporters at the Osu stand, when we started going to the Accra Sports Stadium, the Osu stand, the old Accra Sports Stadium before 2008, the Osu stand, Joe Ghartey was a champion of the House boys. Nobody knew that he was fancy. So Osu is Joe Ghartey's place. He can actually deliver that seat. So that's what we used to say. And then come 2020, I was here in the studio when the first report came to me that Joe Ghartey had lost the election. I said, the Sikado, I was here. And all the boys were laughing at me, saying, Charlie, why today, what happened? After I was jubilating that Amewu had won because I like Peter Amewu, they said, your man Joe Ghartey is gone. Alex Segbefia, I think, was the first person who saw a text and said, Charlie, your man Joe Ghartey is gone. So I stood out and I called him. And somebody picked the phone. And I said, are you in the Sikado? He said, yeah. I said, where's Uncle Joe? He said, he's around. I said, now, I said, he said, oh, yeah, win. I said, are you sure? He said, oh, yeah, win. Now, I don't know what I say. And I said, Paul, Adom-Otchere. He said, oh, good evening, Ghana. Yeah, win. I said, well, okay. So I came back. I texted other people, Joe Ghartey fine. But when the results came, he had actually won. But it was so small, so surprising that Grace Ayinsu had covered so much ground. It's been a concern for people thinking that Joe Ghartey did not show complete control of Sikado for the at least 3-4 terms that he ran it. For the last one, why is he running for president? What's going to happen? But other people feel that, but this is the advantage for Joe Ghartey. People feel that there is a contest between some 2 people, and the party must go for a third person. In fact, now they think there's a contest between some 3 people who don't like each other. So for the party unity, they have to go for another person, somebody outside that group. Those who are thinking like that may be looking at Joe Ghartey. Now, do we put Joe Ghartey in our top 5? Let's finish and see. The first 2 are obvious in there. Joe Ghartey is not obvious. We'll tell you at the end.